you ready for the mayhem?
Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem radio show. We started things off tonight with Attacker. You know, Mike Sabatini, the drummer from Attacker, was the first guest I ever had on my show back in 2008. I've had Mike and all the guys in that band on multiple times. I'm happy to say that they are working on new material. Sins of the World, their last record, came out, I think, in 2016. So it's been about 6 years since we've had music from those guys. Oh, I shouldn't say that. They actually put out a single about a year ago. Ski was fronting the band after Bobby Leatherlungs Lucas parted ways with the band. But Bobby's back in right now. New music is being recorded. I'm looking forward to that. But this was the original singer, Bob Mitchell. Bob's got another band going on right now. Bob is in a couple of different bands and projects, but Scepter seems to be his latest one. The band based out of Germany. They just released the newest record. They had another album out in 2012, I believe, with a different singer, but this is the first one with Bob on there, called Rise to the Lie or something, I believe. I have to go and check that out for you, but Bob is a great singer, and that's a pretty good album. Rise to the Light, I'm sorry. I haven't gone through the whole record yet. Good sounding album. I'm still getting used to this new studio over here. It's taken me a little while, a lot longer than I was hoping for. This is the first month of the show, and I thought I'd be used to it by now, but there's a lot of buttons and gizmos that I keep going to that on my old site. We're in one place, and on here they're on another. So I'm trying to talk, and I'm looking on the screen. I'm getting old. I can't see no more. It's getting harder and harder, but you know what? We'll make it work. Hopefully by the end of next month, we'll have it all figured out. All right, how about some Thin Ice, Running Mean? right, Phantom Lord with Mercy Killer, and right before that, Surgical Steel with Crank It Up. Man, I absolutely love those two demo tapes from back in the day. I wish they would have done more and gone on to better things. I mean, they had Rob Halford kind of like, in the corner backing them up. I think that he produced the second demo. I don't really recall if it was the first or the second one, but Jeff Martin on vocals. Jeff is on the show so many times. I always have a blast talking with him. He has blasted the static going right now. Nothing new in quite a bit of time from them, but with COVID, a lot of bands haven't put much music out. Hopefully we'll get more from him. But, Jeff has played in so many bands. I mean, a lot of people know more for Racer X than anything else, but he played drums in Badlands. He played with Paul Gilbert. I mean, I could go on and on. It was with MSG, countless number of bands between playing drums and singing, and he does both extraordinarily well. All right, as you know, a war kind of broke out between the Ukraine and Russia this week, and John sent me over a playlist of some more songs to play. John, there were a lot of songs on that list, so I couldn't get them all on, but we'll do a little triple shot of 3 songs, and we'll get that on for everybody right now. So let's start things off with a little Blitzkrieg.
Let's have a war!
All right, a bunch of songs that I guess are a little too real for what's going on in the world right now. Carnival, World Wars 3 and 4, clocking in at 10 minutes compared to Hyrex right before that, which was less than 2. I remember the first time I saw Carnivore, it was in the beginning, I believe, of 1984. They were playing at Lemoore in the Battle of the Bands on a Thursday night. And that was one of the best ones ever because out of that set came Blessed Death and a bunch of great other bands who wound up getting signed later on. Most of them had a little success. Some didn't go anywhere, but they were solid acts. And I remember they came out on stage. Pete Steele was a big guy. Probably 6'7" or 8", if not more than that. They came out with like the gladiator outfits on, the loincloths. They were throwing meat around. It was just a wild show, and they just blew me away because a lot of the bands that played on that Battle of the Bands, like I said, there were a couple of really great bands that came out of it. Then there were a lot of shitty bands, so I don't know how I got on the bill. So when you get a good one, you really appreciate it. I became a big fan of the band after that. I don't think I missed any show that they played. I wasn't happy with the second record, Retaliation, a year later. Different guitar player in the band. They tried to jump on the crossover scene where hardcore and metal were mixing together, and I just didn't dig that album. That first Carnival record is where I was at. And I really wasn't a fan of anything else that they did after that, But that's the way life goes. Some people will say the opposite. They didn't care for the first record. They liked the second one better. But it was a great time back then, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, before that, Hyrex. Hyrex haven't put out a record. It's got to be about 8 years or so, I think, since Immortal Legacy came out, 2014. I think Caton is too busy DJing bar mitzvahs and christenings and record store openings. He's got the DJ thing going on right now. And it might be distracted from Hyrex. So hopefully we'll get new music by the band this year. I know last week I was talking about some new albums I was looking forward to hearing this year. One was the Jack Panzer, and the other one was the new Clovenhoof. Well, Lee Payne sent me a copy of the new Clovenhoof, which comes out in 2 weeks. We're going to have Lee on the show around that same time. I think the Sunday after next, Lee is going to be on the show. So we'll wait till then to play some new music off the new record. But if you've been a fan of the last two Clovenhoof records, you're going to love this one. It just goes above and beyond what they've done on the last two records. So I don't want to give too much away, but Time Assassin comes out in about 2 weeks. We'll have Lee on the show. We'll talk about it. I don't think we have any guests on the show next week. We were supposed to have Chris Gustafsson from Trauma, but he never called in. So, that's the second time that guy did that to me. So I think we're going to put him on the list and ban him from the show. And, then again, Trauma, he's the only original guy in the band, the drummer. And technically, he's not even the original drummer of the band. They had another drummer the first year. But he is a drummer from the classic lineup on that first record. So they're going over to Europe right now. I'm not even going to talk about them because, like I said, he stood me up. So the hell with them. We cut them right out. Cut them out. But, I don't know what annoys me more. It's like I said, when bands get back together with just like the original bass player, the original drummer, that infuriates me because you're leaving out the key members of the band and you're trying to carry on just on the name but not what the people fell in love with. Or when bands just splinter into multiple you have 3 different versions of LA Guns. You got 2 versions of Quiet Riot, and Quiet Riot's not even anybody from the original version of that band. But at least with Rudy Sarzo, when you got somebody that played with the band in the Randy Rhoads era, at least, even though he wasn't on the second record, Kelly Garney was on that record. At least he was in the band live back then. Frankie didn't come until much later. Even though he was playing with Kevin Dubrow in Dubrow, he didn't come into the Quiet Rifle until the mental health era of the band. But you got a multiple. Now, Heart, Nancy Wilson from Heart, even though they're not heavy metal, it's still Heart. They're a rock band. She's going out on her own as Nancy Wilson's Heart, and her sister Ann is going to go out as Heart because they didn't want to play with each other's musicians. Ann wanted people that she plays with to be in the band, and Nancy wanted her people to be in the band. Now you got 2 fractions of Heart. This is like an ongoing thing. Great White. I can count 1 million bands off the top of my fingers that, are out there playing with multiple fractions of the same band. It turns metal into a joke. We're going to go back to what happened in the late 80s when things got a little silly and, grunge came around and people said, all right, this is the newest thing, and they forgot about metal. And that's what's going to happen again, I think, if all these bands keep doing the stupid shit that they're doing. If you can't get most of that classic lineup together, don't do it. If you cannot go out there and play as one band, you got to have 9 different versions of a band, don't do it. It isn't like there's so much money being made out there today that, you're doing this for survival. There's very little money out there. I don't know how, because I was just looking, Queensryche playing at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York. Tickets for Queensryche, Hitman's on the bill, so I would like to go just for Hitman. But Queensryche, $45 for the general admission, $75 for the balcony because there are seats in the balcony. $75 to see Queensryche, which has 2 members of that original lineup, and they were like the least important members. Let's be honest, Michael Wilton and the bass player, Eddie Jackson. And is it just me, Or is Toddler Tory becoming the most annoying human being on the face of the fucking earth? It might just be me. He seems to become the spokesperson for the band, the mouthpiece for the band. He talks like it's been his band since the beginning. Meanwhile, the records that they put out with him are shit. Are they better than the Jeff Tate albums? Yeah, they were really going off course back then. They got a little bit more into the old metal sound now, but it's still crap music. I couldn't tell you the name of one Queensryche song that they put out in the last 15 years. I think Silent Lucidity is probably the last song I can tell you the name of. Everything after that record kind of went downhill. I just don't get it. That's just me, but I rant and rave. Never mind. I think if I have something to complain about, I have nothing to talk about at all. But things like that just bother me. I can't see spending $75 on Queensryche. Overkill was playing 2 weeks before them with Prong, and the tickets are $25. There you get your bang for your buck. Go see that. Don't go see Queensryche. It's not the same Queensryche. All right, let me see what we can do for you right now. We're going to get to this interview with Rob Dukes from Generation Kill. I don't know if I mentioned that at the top of the show. We'll get that on in a little bit. We'll do another set of 3 songs, and then we'll get to that interview. Let's do a little Nasty Savage.
Climbing up the mountain in the presence of anger, pain, and hunger. The trick is never done. I'm a fool, this time and place. I'm a toe, it's human race. I've been watching for this time. My level is no garage. The sigil shown upon my dress, a penance bearing a reaper, reject the Vulcan's quest. Beyond the vision. Beyond the vision. Approaching all together, mesmerizing eyes. There's no one that can see him. He's telling me lies. I will be his servant, regain his word. No sign of magic power, no act of treachery.
Gravedigger, Legions of the Lost, and right before that, Anger, Louder Than Loud. That was the second demo tape I ever bought back in 1983. They were a good band. I enjoyed them. Alright, we're going to get to Rob Dukes in about 2 minutes. We're going to play something off the brand new record, Generation Kills, the first record in almost 10 years. MK Ultra, it's out right now. Pick up a copy. How about we do Evil Eye, and then we'll speak to Rob right after the song is over. Here we go. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened over there. The song stopped playing. Let me maybe re-upload the tune. I'll play something else for now. I still haven't figured this whole thing out yet. I apologize. Let's do Vendetta, Never Die, and then we'll get back into some Generation Kill.
What is in my brain? Am I just the same? Is it just imagination? Question in my mind. Can I ever find the way on through the cloud for my soul? Who can tell the truth? Can you tell me who? Just to find the right relation. Watching come alive. Who has come to right? Answer this question of a fool.
Hey Rob, this is Mike. How are you?
Good, man. This is Rob Dukes. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's nice talking with you today.
All right, man. You too.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you, the new record absolutely kills, man. I mean, I didn't think you could outdo the last one, but you went up another level with this one.
Thank you, brother. I think I agree with you. I think we did too. I think we raised the bar on ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been about 8 or 9 years since We're All Gonna Die came out. That was a long time between records. Was there a reason behind it waiting that long, or were you just not feeling it, or you had to kind of get things cooking?
Well, we did this project with DMC, and that kind of took a little time out, and then we changed bass players, so we whatever music we had written up to that point, we just we threw it all away and started over and from scratch with this current lineup. So that, and then COVID fucking happened. So it was kind of like, fuck, man. We just kept getting behind the 8 ball and just trying to get through it, and finally it all came together. So
Yeah, being in the music business is kind of tough enough as it is, and everybody got sidelined for it's going on over 2 years now. That was definitely a rough time. The Fragile Mortals record, the one you were talking about with DMC, was that in any way, shape, or form supposed to be a Generation Kill album that just maybe wasn't working out with the way you wanted it to sound?
No, man. So Daryl called me. We met at a show, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I want to write a song with you. Will you write a song for me for my solo record?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we wrote a song called La Lizard. It ended up being on the Fragile Mortals record. So the song was La Lizard, and then we had so much fun in the studio. We just kind of kept fucking around and writing more songs, and it kind of just took a life on its own, and we put Generation Kill on the back burner, and then so once that thing was done, through business reasons and for whatever reasons, it just kind of did what it did, and it went away. So we started a record, and then we got rid of the bass player and got Max to come in. Jason Velez's brother Max came in to play bass, and then we just started writing songs from scratch. So basically, we didn't really start until like 2018. That was when we kind of started this album. And the first song we wrote was Never Relents, and we did a bunch of pre-production stuff, and then slowly just started working on the record. Unfortunately, we don't all live in New York anymore. Jason lives in Florida, and I live out in Arizona, so it became harder to just kind of put things together. And that being said, there's something to be said for doing it the way we did it, because it allowed us time to look at it and change things for the better, because a lot of these songs were written and rewritten a couple times before they were done. You know what I mean? If we had put the first version out, it wouldn't have been as good. Opie had changed 4 or 5 times before I was done with the lyrics right, and before I was done with the melodies and the way I sang it. It took 5 or 6 different sessions to perform it, and put it together the way it is. So a couple of songs are like that. La Fin de Mon was the same way, and Evil Eye. We got Chris Poland to come in and do the guitar solos on it. Yeah. We had it already done, and we had that kind of song done, and then he changed the whole aspect of the song. So we went in and changed a couple of things in that, and then I had John Joseph join us on Dogs of War, and we wrote that song with John in mind. Like, I'm going to have John sing on this song. So then we would look for our New York hardcore roots and kind of went and did a song specifically knowing that John was going to be singing on it with me. So, that stuff, like when you do stuff like that, your first take isn't always the best. So that was kind of the cool thing about taking time and doing things the way we did them. I don't expect the next one to be that way. I think we're going to do things a little differently, but between the way the world is, man, it's just the way it happened, and I'm really proud of the way it came out. And I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my career.
I have to agree with you on that, and it's true. Sometimes you get a little frustrated waiting on things, but when you see the end result, and this is the end result. And I mean, when I heard John Joseph on the record, being a kid from New York and being in a hardcore band myself in the early '80s, playing with the Cro-Mags and Agnostic Front, I hear all that influence in these songs, and I laugh because you did an interview. I think it must have been around the first or second record. And you were saying, this band I'm in now, Generation Kill, who I work with, it's much mellower stuff than like Exodus. And I was like, oh, I wonder what he's doing. And then I put it on, and it was so brutal in its own right. I was like, if he considers this mellow, I don't know what the hell a love song is to him.
That's fucking funny, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, I grew up in New York too, so I bring that East Coast thing, man, which is definitely a thing. You know what I mean? When I moved out west, it has there's a thing to the East Coast, and I think I brought that to Exodus, and that's why my era of Exodus is a little different from the rest of it, because I threw that little bit of East Coast in there, So
hey, you got to do what you got to do, and I mean, you definitely have that East Coast vibe. I guess metal's no different than rap when they have like the East and West Coast wars. I guess it's kind of the same thing, with our music.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a different sound.
I listen to the East Coast rap, and I listen to West Coast. I'm like, you listen to like Guru, or you listen to Biggie, man. They're different than Snoop and Dre and those guys. And it's weird that Eminem crosses all of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like listening to British heavy metal compared to American heavy metal, or British punk rock compared to American punk rock. The culture of where you come from definitely plays a part in what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you recorded with DMC. I mean, being somebody who, like I said, grew up in New York in the 70s and 80s listening to music, rap back then was as underground as metal was. I mean, it was a new genre of music just starting out. They were in the streets in the Bronx and Queens. We were coming from Brooklyn, Manhattan, and the other boroughs, and so I kind of got into all of that at the same time. And I'm saying, like, if all the bands I could think of I'd want to record with, and if somebody says, Run DMC, I'm like, damn, that's something else.
Absolutely, man. I mean, look, the guy's a fucking living legend, you know what I mean? And when we first met, it was just kind of like, yeah, we're, oh, you're from Queens, I'm from Hollis, yeah, and we kind of like had that thing, we had a conversation, and, it led to a really a cool friendship, man. And I talk with the guy all the time. I mean, we're friends, and he's a really engaging and a very special human being. As far as people go, he's one of my favorites, and he's been through it all, man. He's been through the shit, and for him to call me up and go, hey, I really like your music. Let's write a song together. I mean, dude, I was a little kid. You know what I mean? It was life, it was like, how could I not? You know what I mean? And I was truly honored, and I feel the fact that we're peers is astounding to me. Yeah. And it blows my mind that Daryl from Run DMC thinks I'm a peer, and that is a profound human experience that is really hard to put into words.
You're up there with Aerosmith. It's just an incredible thing when you think about it, because, rap, the hardcore punk scene from the early 80s here in New York, and CBGB's with the matinees on Sunday, and then we had Lemoore here for the rock bands. And, it all kind of melded together. And if you talk to a lot of people, I know we're in the same age group, and I'm 54, you're probably around the same age. We kind of listened to it all, and we took all of it, and we kind of melded into one thing if we were musicians. Where a lot of kids are like, rap, no, I'm a metalhead, I don't listen to rap. Or punk, no, I don't listen to hardcore. They always separate it, but it's more similar than it is separated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those guys that I had long hair, but I listened to The Clash, but I still listened to The Doors and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, and I listened to Misfits, and I listened to Slayer and Metallica. I just listened to everything. I never cut myself off from the music experience. I took in everything, and some things I like more than others, man. I don't like country music. I'm not a fan. I don't like gospel, and I don't like I don't like opera. But I gave them the shot. But I don't like and it's just it's like food, man. I've always tested music to like food. There's some things you like, and there's some things you just don't. And I don't like to shit on anybody's work, So I don't like to say I don't like things. I look at it more as like they're just not for me. You know what I mean? That's how it is. Like I don't like olives. Olives meat tastes like you might as well put a piece of shit on my plate if you're going to put an olive on my food. Because that's what it tastes like to me. And there's some music when you put it on, I just go, oh, you just put a piece of shit in my ear. And but I try not to. I'm a hypocrite. I do it all the time. I'm like, shit, band sucks. But I try not to do that because music is relative. It's a human experience that you're a part of, and some songs make me want to punch somebody in the face, and other songs make me want to light a cigar and have a cup of coffee and relax.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I love about you, is that you're brutally honest about everything you have to say about any situation or subject. You know, you don't hold back. And I guess that could be good and bad for certain people, but we live in a world today where everybody has the opinion, they'll voice their opinion. You know, the internet, you click a button with one word and it can affect anybody.
Yeah.
You have to be like really thick-skinned to be in this business.
Yes, you do. I don't read comments. I did in the very early beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. So I read comments, and people fucking hated me, man. People hated me for trying to fill in for Bailoff and Zetro, and I stopped reading comments early on. Lee Altus said to me, he goes, you should stop reading those because who cares what everyone thinks? You're doing what you're doing. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So that was it. I stopped reading them. And my manager sends me comments for the new stuff because they're so positive. So she's been sending me some stuff, and I'm really blown away by people's response to this record. And I'm glad they really like it because we put every ounce of energy into this, man. We did it the way we wanted to do it, and we're glad that other people are digging it. So I don't care what anyone else thinks. I don't care about your opinion. And you're right, man. Everyone can have their opinion with a click of the mouse. And it used to be that you had to have some kind of power. For instance, I remember seeing a movie that I loved called True Romance. You remember that? It was a Tony Scott film. Yeah. Quentin Tarantino wrote it. When True Romance came out, man, the fucking reviewer shit on it and said it was a piece of shit. And I said to myself, I'm never listening to anybody's opinion ever again because it doesn't matter. And the same thing with music. I mean, I don't expect anyone to value my opinion on what I like or what I don't like because it's personal. That's why I don't read comments and I don't pay attention to that stuff. But my manager does, and they pay attention to it, and they want to know what people are thinking. And people are really digging this, so that makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Red, White, and Blood, and then We're All Gonna Die, 99K Ultra, you can see the progression. Even though there were a few years in between this one and the last one, you can see how far you've come. And not only that, but, you know, there's a distinctive sound to this band, especially because of your vocals. You know, a singer's always going to define the way a band sounds, the guitar work. But on top of that, you don't repeat yourself. You don't like, you know, trudge up the same stuff from the last record. It's generation kill, but yet you never know what you're going to get, even though you kind of know. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like when you get an AC/DC record, you know exactly what you're going to get. And you remember when were you a big AC/DC fan?
I always liked them. They weren't my favorite, but I always liked them, you know.
Yeah. So they did a record, back in the 70s, they did a record, and they did like this song called Ride On, which was this slow, this blues song that was just straight up, just old school blues. And it was a takeaway from everything they had done up to that point. They had never done something like that. And that little that curveball that they threw made me really fall in love with them because of that. I love the band for other reasons, but that one was really... But a band like Queen. So there's a record called News of the World, which is the first record I ever bought with my own money. And if you listen to that record from beginning to end, you are taken on such a fucking experience because no song sounds like the previous one. They all have their own identity, and it's like being on a roller coaster, man. It goes up and down and up and down and up. And I've always wanted to have a band where I could do that. Now, that being said, I'm in a metal band, so I gotta do metal. So what I think we've tried to do as a band is try to stay metal, but bring in other elements that maybe people will like because it's a little different. And that's what we've done. And we've tried not to make every song sound the same, where it's just, like, I love the band Pennywise, but you know you're going to get, they're like AC/DC. You're going to get a Pennywise record. Every song is going to be a fucking, just kick in the nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't do ballads. They don't do anything slow. They do, and I appreciate them for that. You know what I mean? But I don't want to do that for my own band. I want to have the ability to expand and do different things. So that's the coolness about being in this band.
Yeah.
And having the guys around me to do it. I mean, the guys I have around me in this band are stellar musicians, and we all come from different places, so it's kind of cool to mix that all together.
Yeah, I know, like you said, a lot of the guys are in different places right now, including yourself. I mean, the way the world is right now and the technology we have, you can record a full record with all 5 or 4 members being in different parts of the world. Are you that kind of guy that likes that, or do you really like being in the room with everybody where you can say, instantaneously, listen, maybe change that, let's tinker with this, let's move that? Are you more in person or like an internet type of guy?
No, I'd rather be in the room.
Yeah.
The way the world is, we had no choice. We worked with what we had, which is we had to do it over the internet. So that was just the way the cards fell for this. But I would rather be looking at my drummer in the face and go, whoa, try this, and then you know what I mean. And even them go, hey, try this, Rob, instead of that. So it's been the next record. We're definitely going to be in the room together, without a doubt. That's our plan. We've already talked about it. We're like, no, we're going to be in the room together when we do the next one. So,
I mean, there must be like a certain level of frustration that comes with recording like that, because, like you said, when you're in the same room, you can tell your drummer something right there and work it out and put it to that. But when you got to go back and forth with phone calls or files, and you're not there to kind of hear what they're coming up with, it does get difficult for a recording,
Mhm. It definitely did, man. It definitely. But also the upside to it is that you get to live with it for the first time you do something is probably not always your best. It's probably better if you tried it. If you practice it 50 times and then recorded the 51st time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We recorded everything over and over and over again. And some songs we changed the structure. Like, we completely re-recorded it because we didn't like the way it came out. So we changed the structure. And then another one we did 3 times. Like, we did it 3 times. And I remember I sang Le Fin du Monde, the last song on the record. I sang it at least 6 times before I got it right. I changed the lyrics on it completely from the way it was originally. Opiate, I did the same thing. I changed the lyrics. I changed the vocal structure. I changed the way the song felt. I had a melody come in and do a harmony on my vocal to give me a real high, because I couldn't get that high myself, so I brought in someone who could, and she came in and killed it on the harmonies. And it just that was the upside to doing it piecemeal the way we did it, and changing the record the way we did, because we got to sit with it and we got to go, oh no, we can make this better. We can make this better. Oh, we can change that, or we can make this better. So that was the upside to doing it the way we did it.
Yeah, listening to the record, you would never know. You would think everybody was there recording their parts and, working together. You would never know. I mean, it's amazing how far things have come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you listen to the band from the 70s, like bands like Rush, they would go out and play all those songs live before they recorded them. That's the way to do it, man, is to go out and to play those songs a bunch of times and then figure out what works and what doesn't work, or what you can improve on, or what you go, we can do this better, or like, this part's pointless, or this song's a fucking filler throwaway song. Let's get rid of it and just start over and do something. That, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the luxury of that, and I think that's what we're going to do going in the future. I think we're going to go on the next one. We're going to write a bunch of songs, and we're going to go try them live before we even record them. That's our plan.
That'd be great.
We'll see if it works out.
Yeah.
You know how plans are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But that would be great, because, somebody was a teenager in the 80s going to shows. There was no internet back then. We had fanzines, people would put out about the bands and everything. You didn't know who the band was till you went to that club, saw them live for the first time, heard those songs live for the first time, then couldn't wait to get a record from them when they got signed. Years always loved it that way because it was always new, it was always a surprise. And I discovered probably 90% of the bands I'm into today by hearing them live for the first time back then.
Yeah, I remember when real quick, we did on the Shovelhead Kill Machine tour. We played the entire record, and what I found was when we played the old shit, people went crazy, right? Because they knew the songs. But it was a new song. They kind of just stood there and watched, and it wasn't because they weren't into it. It was because they never heard it before and they wanted to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know what I mean? And then we came through on another tour, and then they were going crazy because now they knew the songs. So it was kind of like are they not digging this? And it was no, they love it. They're just paying attention. So we'll see. We'll see how it all works out.
Yeah, I mean, just to benefit people, you got your podcast right now, which is I've been going through for the last couple of weeks with the Put Up Your Dukes podcast. That's some great stuff because it's just like freewheeling it. Like you got it's music, it's this. It's not just about one thing. I'm laughing 1 minute, I'm shaking my head the next. I mean, you got some great interviews up on there. How did you decide to start doing this?
It started out because I'm a huge fan of comedy and stand-up comedy, and I follow a bunch of stand-up comics who do great podcasts. And I'm like, well, it'd be kind of cool is to go talk to all my friends and tell stories, and have them talk about their experience being a musician. So I'm doing a couple comedians in the next couple weeks. I'm doing a couple. I'm flying out to New York. I'm gonna sit down with some people and do some cool interviews, and so I got some good surprises come up. I don't want to talk about it because I want it to be a good surprise, and yeah, man, it's been fun, dude. It's a cool thing just to share experience back and forth with people. And right now, I'm doing a lot of people I know, so I'm starting to do people I don't know, which has actually been challenging because I don't know they're in the same world. You know what I mean? So to hear their experiences, like I'm hearing it for the first time myself. So, but that's coming up, and I just hope to keep expanding on it and keep doing it, man.
Yeah, being that you've been interviewed probably a million times, since you've been in the music business. Now you're the one kind of interviewing people. Do you know what not to do and what not to ask and what to ask? Does it make it a little easier for you, or you still feel like, hey, I'm the guy that gets interviewed? Why am I doing it now?
I'm trying not to answer the questions that a normal interview would ask. That's what I'm trying to do that. I'm kind of talking about like personal things and talking about things that a normal interview wouldn't talk about. You know what I mean? So I'm trying just to have a conversation. So.
Do you find it funny being that you're up on stage, you're playing in front of hundreds and thousands of people sometimes, and you get that instantaneous response, the cheers, the crowds, the screaming. When you do the podcast, you kind of usually most of the time by yourself with a microphone and a headset on, and you feel like you're talking to nobody, like nobody's listening to you. There's nobody on the other side. Was that like a weird feeling for you?
Yes, it is a weird feeling to talk by myself for 20 minutes. And but when I make myself laugh, or I make Melody, the producer, laugh, I know that I'm doing it right. So that's kind of cool. Yeah,
it's always a good thing. Hey Rob, any plans? I know it's tough right now with the COVID, but anything planned live to help support the record, even like one-off shows or anything coming up?
We're gonna try, man. We'll announce that stuff as we come along. We might do a couple shows, one-offs here and there. Nothing I can talk about just yet because I don't want to say something and then have it fall through. But we're trying. We're trying. So.
Yeah, I hope you can make it happen. I know it's been rough. It seems like things are starting to get a little better right now, but every time it does, this government slams the hammer down and screws up everybody else once again.
Yeah.
So I hope it does get better. But I'm not going to keep you, Rob. I know you've been doing these things all day long. You just did an amazing job on this record, man. And for people that haven't heard anything by Generation Killer yet, I would say this is the starting point, because everything else you do before and after this is going to be hard to repeat. It's just, MK Ultra is just amazing.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interview and talking with you, man. And I hope to see you on the show sometime soon.
I've seen you guys before, and I can't wait for you to get back into the New York, New Jersey area.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You take care, Rob. Good talking to you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Generation Kill, Section 8 off their first record. Before the interview, we did Evil Eye off of MK Ultra. I'm sorry that the song got cut off. I have a touch screen computer, and I think what happens, I'm bumping into it, and I'm shutting everything down as it's playing. But there you go, Rob Dukes from Generation Kill. All right, like I said, I don't think we have any guests on the show next week, but the week after that, we have Lee Payne from Clovenhoof. We got Kevin Wynn from Tyson Dog, and all the guys from Frightmare are going to be on the show at the end of March. Maybe we will have somebody on next week. I'll see who's available and who I can hook up for next Sunday night. I still haven't figured out how to do the live interviews on here yet with Skype. It's like hit or miss, and I don't want to take the chance, so I've been pre-recording them. Even those aren't coming out that great. I have to find a better way of pre-recorded interviews. This is probably the only thing I miss about being on Block Talk Radio, is that with a phone line, like a dedicated phone line to the show on the switchboard, you can call it anywhere in the world and connect people, and it made it a lot easier. All right, we'll keep the music going here in a little bit. The Olympics are finally over. I have to tell you, I really didn't watch them this year at all, and I haven't watched them in many years. When I was a kid, I used to love them because it was like a big event, you know, especially the Winter Olympics that I love, because I was an ice hockey player, and, you know, you have bobsledding and luge and all these great things, ski jump. But, you know, back then we only had like 4 channels when I grew up in Brooklyn. We had ABC, NBC, CBS, and like 2 local channels. That's all we ever had. So when that came on, it was like a big deal. Today I look at it for a few minutes and I'm kind of bored with it all. I mean, I do like curling. I mean, anytime you can get any kind of sport that has 2 women with brooms sweeping the floor, that's the greatest sport in the world to me. I could watch that all day long. A little bit of man pride, I guess. Who knows? All right, how about we do some Anger is Art? Steve Gaines working on new music. I can't wait. He always delivers. Here's We Hurry Into Death. right. I don't know if anybody remembers those guys. Molten Leather with Inversion. That song was on the Metal Massacre 2 record from back in the early 80s. I know they had a 3-song demo out, but I don't think they had anything besides that, and they kind of faded away not long after that demo tape did come out. If anybody knows anything more about the band, let me know, because I kind of like them. I still have the demo in my collection somewhere. I don't think I ever transferred it to an MP3. I have to go look about that and do it, but they were a pretty good band. Before that, Axe Attack with Leather, Lace, and Studs, and Original Sin with Pandora's Box. We're going to wrap things up here in a little bit. 1 or 2 more songs. We'll get on some brand new Scorpions. I mean, if you've been a fan of the last couple of Scorpions records, you'll probably like this. I'm hearing people say, it's the best thing the Scorpions have done in a long time, and it's a solid record. It's old school Scorpions. It's a good record, don't get me wrong, but it's like more in the Sting in the Tail vein and the Return to Forever and the stuff that they've been putting out over the last 10 years. It's definitely not old school classic Scorpions. Very few bands sound like they used to back in the day, so it is what it is. It's not a bad record. Just, we'd love to hear that old school sound again, but it's never going to happen. So we'll play something off the new Rock Believer record. We'll close things out with Man of War, and we'll see everybody next week. No guests as far as I know, unless I can find somebody who wants to come on next week. We'll just be playing music and really talking about nothing but nonsense, because there's very little going on in the metal community right now. Not much news happening to even talk about. So we'll chit-chat, we'll bullshit, we'll play music, and if I do find somebody who wants to come on, we'll get them on. Alright, so let's do brand new Scorpions. This is Call of the Wild. We'll follow that up with some Man of War. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday. We'll do battle hymns. We'll send it out to our friends in the Ukraine. Kick those Russians' asses and get them out of your country. Here you go. Brand new Scorpions.
We can hide, but it's in vain. sinners and the saints. For the sinners and the saints. To the battle we ride, we crossed a starlit sky. No space, no time, we'll catch the wind. Strange losses, men died, we crossed a starlit sky, and still no space,